Hi, Russ and John here, and let's talk about Bordeaux, that mysterious word. What's a Bordeaux? John, I'd like you to dispel some myths about Bordeaux, maybe educate us a little bit. I always get mixed up on whether I'm drinking a Cab Bordeaux or whether I'm drinking a Merlot Bordeaux. What am I drinking when it comes to Bordeaux?
Bordeaux is cut into simplest terms, two areas: left bank, right bank.
Left bank, right bank. Left bank, left hand, where my watch is. Right hand, my right bank. Gotcha?
Left bank, Cabernet-based wines. Right bank, Merlot-based wines.
Okay, so I see they're always blended as well. So I noticed that some of the some of the Bordeaux are like the Medocs, the whole Medocs. The Medocs tend to be more Cabernet blend, correct?
Yeah, well, Medoc's part of the Bordeaux region, correct?
That's right. So it's a Medoc.
Yeah.
And if it's a Saint-Emilion,
Yeah.
it's going to be more of a Merlot blend. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. So I can have a Merlot Bordeaux, or I could have a Cab Merlot. Not that
Cab
they're
Bordeaux.
Sorry, Cab Bordeaux. Not that it's 100% Cab, just the blend, correct? Are Bordeaux are generally always blends?
Mostly.
Blends, okay.
It's in the 12 or 14 years. I mean, I think tasting Calon Sigur was 99% or 98% Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
One vintage I tasted.
Okay.
Mostly, and here's why. Think about this. Look, Bordeaux is on the Atlantic, close to the Atlantic.
Yes.
Like any place that's on the coast, the weather can be a little bit iffy, volatile. And different grape varieties ripen at different times.
Mm-hmm.
So they had 5 grape varietals, and they use them as blending terms. So Merlot is an earlier ripener, Cabernet is a late ripener, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and a little bit of Carmenere, which they don't use so much now. And so if it's a nice long growing season, they can use more Cabernet Sauvignon, and if it's an early ripener, it's going to be more Merlot dominated. Say if it starts to rain, Cabernet is going to get diluted. Merlot's picked earlier.
Okay.
You're going to have a more Merlot based wine.
And that could also depict whether it's going to be a good year for Bordeaux or a good year for the Cab Merlot. Bordeaux.
Yeah, it may be more a left bank side or a right bank side.
Okay. Why are the Bordeaux? I mean, they tend to be the monster price wines. I mean, why do they get to be so expensive? What could you explain that to me?
Sure. Look, in 1855, they had this classification. They classified Bordeaux into 5 groups, from first down to fifth. First, second, third, fourth.
Is that what they mean when they call it a premium cru? Or
first growth. No, first growth.
Okay, first growth. Okay.
Second growth, third growth, fourth growth.
Okay.
So all of Bordeaux's, or a good chunk of Bordeaux's publicity has been traded on all these top growths. But let me tell you something, Bordeaux is a huge, huge appellation. It's a huge region with some people making...
Now when you say appellation, you mean region, right?
Yes.
And by the way, Bordeaux means that the wine came from Bordeaux, correct?
That's correct.
So I could make a blend in California, or I could make a blend in Washington that had exactly the same blend, same grapes and everything, but I couldn't really call it a Bordeaux, could I?
No, you can't. It's got to come from Bordeaux.
But I could have exactly the same wine close, and we could have in the underground fine print in a code word, this is really a Bordeaux blend.
Call it a Bordeaux blend, or
Gotcha.
Inspired by France.
That's right. So it's really truly a Bordeaux because it comes from Bordeaux.
Well, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So Bordeaux is a large region, and there are some exceptional value wines available there. Problem is that they're not necessarily the greatest marketers in the world, and they've traded sort of more on historical business practices in the past, and things have changed. They're changing, but I can tell you, if you go to the UK, you go to California, even in BC, Alberta, great wine countries or wine cultures, you can get a good Bordeaux for $20-25. You'd be really amazed. You don't have to spend $50, $80, $100, $200, $300, $400 a bottle. They're out there. Don't get me wrong. They're out there from all over the world. You can get some great Bordeaux for reasonable prices.
Well, now, what about I noticed that Bordeaux tend to be the wines that age longer. I mean, sometimes wines can't be aged for 20, 30 years, but the Bordeaux seem to have that ability, the ability to withstand that kind of aging. Why is that?
There's a variety of things. How they're made. They're not made in that New World style. So when you pick really ripe, you burn off acidity and you burn off flavors and nuances. So you just get rich, ripe, jammy fruit, which doesn't last. Number 2, because of their historical track record of
So in
making
Bordeaux,
wine.
they're not picking super ripe in Bordeaux.
That's correct. They're picking ripe, but not super ripe.
Okay.
Look, when you cut an apple, what do you put on it to stop it from browning?
Lemon, salt, what?
Lemon.
Okay.
Why? What does lemon have in it?
Acid.
There you go. You just answered my question. Now,
I did?
yeah, you did.
Okay.
Here's the key. Also, Bordeaux, because Bordeaux has been making wine for so long.
So Bordeaux puts lemon in their wine.
They put lemon in their wine. No, they have acid. Yeah. That dispels what we talked about, injecting flavors.
lemon.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
good.
No, it has natural acidity in the wine. If you
So the natural acidity retards the aging.
gives it structure.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I know that people sometimes talk about. I know I've heard California wines contrasted to Bordeaux's, and they say that sometimes a California wine doesn't have the complexity of a Bordeaux. What do they mean when they say that? Complexity of a Bordeaux.
Complexity of Bordeaux comes from, look, it's a spice. Think about it this way. You've got 4 varietals that can go into a Bordeaux. You've got Cabernet, you've got Merlot, you've got Malbec, you've got Petit Verdot. Okay? Each of those has its different flavors and nuances. So the hallmark of a great winemaker and a great maitre d' is to take the best from that vintage and blend it in right proportions so you have a harmonious balance. Look, you're cooking a steak. Do you pound it with salt, or do you just crack a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, a little bit of other spice, and you've lifted the flavors up? And that's what they do when how much oak goes in, how long. That's all part of it.
Okay, so more experience, more refined in the procedures for when they pick. So the Bordeaux region, they've been doing it for a long time.
They've been a long time.
Gotcha. So there we have a Bordeaux wines. We probably talk about that for a long time. I like to know the basics: the left bank versus the right bank, the Cabernet blends versus the Merlot blends, the Medoc versus the Saint-Emilion, your Bordeaux wines.